Welcome back to my weekly Breath of the Wild news roundup. This is a second part of a 4-part news series continuing until the week before Breath of the Wild's launch. Last week was insane in terms of news. We have tons to go over, so let's skip the introductions and get right to the meat of this video. First things first, let's go over a recent small spoiler that surprised myself and many other Zelda fans. In some recent scans of Breath of the Wild from Japanese magazine Famitsu, we were given a rundown on 4 characters. One, of course, is Zelda. Note that this is in my own words. Zelda is said to be wise and curious, while also having a deep complexity. She travels the land of Hyrule investigating ancient ruins. Next, we have a Zora named Mipha. She is described as quiet and introverted, possibly due to the power she holds that no other Zora does. In the concept art shown, we can see her wielding a Zora trident that looks pretty epic. On to the new Goron, Darkel. Residing in the mountains of Hyrule, Darkel is normally calm, but when in the heat of battle, he turns into a brave warrior, shouting loudly as he sweeps away enemies. Alright, now to the spoiler that surprised many of us. Last we have Rabal, a member of the Rito tribe that lives in the skies of Hyrule. Not much is said about Rabal, but now we know that he's a Rito. Then we come to the bird race. Now, I love the fact that these aren't Rito. So that's 110% confirmed. These are not Rito. These are not the Zora evolved into the Rito. Yeah, I was wrong. Either way, I'm excited for the Rito to make a return in Breath of the Wild. One other thing that Famitsu mentions is that Rabal, Darkel, and Mipha all wear the same scarves and have special weapons. So the Super Bowl is tomorrow, and Nintendo was wise enough to get an ad placement for the Switch. Luckily, if you're not into sports, you don't have to watch the Super Bowl to see the ad, as Nintendo was kind enough to post it on their YouTube channel. We got quite a bit of info from this ad, so I'll just be quickly analyzing the Breath of the Wild portions to save some time. Starting off, we see some dude sleeping in his bed. Then he pulls out his Nintendo Switch and starts playing Breath of the Wild. In the cutscene shown here, we can see Link defending Zelda with the Master Sword in hand, and behind him is a fallen Sheikah enemy. Interesting enough, this same scene can be found on the box art of Breath of the Wild, but it's missing the Sheikah defector of sorts. Has Nintendo been trying to hide plot details, or is this possibly an example of different outcomes in the storyline? Anyhow, moving on to the next clip, we see Link jumping off what seems to be the same cliff from previous trailers. Not too important, but it looks amazing. Then we come to this clip of this crazy guy cooking with his Switch. The cool thing is that we get a name for this big fish dragon looking creature in the desert region. Moldga can be seen in all its glory. I think I might be more terrified of this thing than the Guardians, to be honest. Again, we can see Link shield surfing off the back of a walrus to avoid getting gobbled up by Moldga. Yet another enemy is confirmed in this next scene. These big cyclops looking bokoblins are in fact Hinox, an enemy that we have never seen in a full 3D console release of a Zelda game. Also notice that he is blue instead of pink like the others we've seen before. This could point to this Hinox being more of a challenge than others, similar to the system that Nintendo used for the bokoblins. Above the name of this beast is the name of the area Link is at, East Gut Check Rock. Where this could be on the map beats me. The majority of what comes next has been seen in previous trailers and gameplay footage, but one thing I noticed is the health meter on this Guardian. In this clip, it starts out with 1,459 hit points out of 1,500, and when Link hits it with the bomb arrow, its HP only drops 9 points. This game is shaping up to be difficult, and I'm very happy to see that. IGN recently sat down with Aonuma and Miyamoto to discuss some of the fine details that went into Breath of the Wild's development and much more. During the interview, Aonuma starts off by talking about how the player can start the game off in multiple different ways, and that it would be difficult to predict where a user may start their journey. To get around this, Aonuma mentions that they added a special element. Unfortunately, he doesn't go into detail as he says it's a secret idea that he's had since he first made a game about 20 years ago. Miyamoto goes on to use Skyward Sword as an example. He says that Skyward Sword's setting was complicated, and that a lot of character development needed to happen for its story to progress. At times, it made Skyward Sword feel a bit slow. In Breath of the Wild, Miyamoto says, All of that was thrown out, so everyone can get right into experiencing the game for what it is, and as you play, you slowly discover what the story is. Aonuma later goes into a little story detail. Like most games, Link is tasked with saving the world, and Zelda also shares that same goal. He goes on to say that although Zelda and Link have the same mission, Zelda is a princess and has a different outlook on things. She does have to keep her kingdom safe and all. Aonuma also touches on the new characters I mentioned previously, saying that they are companions who help Link in his journey, and that the support you see from these characters is not the usual kind. It's a bit more mysterious. Hyrule is a world filled with monsters. Link can't be the only one who is fighting them. This could mean we'll be fighting alongside other races found in Hyrule. I mean, it's been shown already. Hylian NPCs will fight off enemies if capable of doing so. Hopefully we'll be able to have a Goron, Zora, or Rito as a companion similar to Wolf Link. How awesome would that be? Skimming over the interview a bit more, Miyamoto goes into some of the challenges they had with adding NPCs. He says that at first they had scenes with tons of villagers in one place, or some of them were wandering at night. This took away from the overall experience of Breath of the Wild, so they changed it up and gave each NPC its own life. Even though Nintendo has only shown small portions of what Breath of the Wild actually is, the way they talk about the detail in characters and the way the world feels like a living, breathing environment only makes me more excited about this game. Recently, the demos for Breath of the Wild have gotten some criticism, and though I do agree that the plateau feels empty and vast, I think the interview will set a lot of you at ease worried about the lack of things to do and people to meet in the overworld. I won't cover the horse portion of this video, so make sure to check out the full interview over on IGN's channel. Last, I'll be going over the screenshot and concept art given to us this week by the official Legend of Zelda Facebook. Let me start off by saying that most of us have watched tons of gameplay showing off what the shrines look like here, so there isn't a lot to cover. In the new screenshot, Link is seen standing on the platform you use to enter a shrine. The Sheikah text above reads Dungeon, and we can see some more Sheikah text on the floor. Next is the concept art. Here they show a silhouette of a character standing next to the platform used to enter a shrine. Around the bottom of the platform is more Sheikah text that reads Loading. And last, the Sheikah eye is a bit different than the final product. That's about it for these two. Don't get me wrong, a lot more news came out last week, but this is what I found most important to cover. Let me know what y'all thought about the video down below. Before I forget, I'm making a video next week on hopes for Breath of the Wild. I wanted to dedicate this one to all you guys that have supported my channel so far. So what are your hopes for Breath of the Wild? Comment yours and you'll be featured in next week's video. You all have a good one. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.